I never told him I loved him, but every night, my heart screamed his name in silence. My name is Jessica, and this is not a story about grand confessions or dramatic kisses under the rain. This is the story of a love that existed quietly. A love that never demanded attention. A love that never raised its voice. Yet it burned deeper than any words ever could. I met Ethan in the most ordinary way possible. No destiny-filled moment. No cinematic slow motion. No feeling that the universe had shifted its axis. Just two people sharing the same space. Again, and again, and again. At first, he was simply there. A chair across from mine. A voice asking practical questions. A presence that blended into routine. But something strange happens when a presence becomes familiar. It becomes comfort. And comfort slowly becomes attachment. We talked. About work. About deadlines. About things that didn't matter. Then we laughed. Soft laughs at first. Careful laughs. The kind you give someone you don't yet know well. Soon, the laughter grew easier. And before I realized it, his voice had become something my day felt incomplete without. We worked side by side. But we never crossed the line. Not because we didn't feel it, but because we were terrified of what would happen if we did. Ethan was not loud. He wasn't the kind of man who filled rooms or demanded attention. He didn't talk just to be heard. He listened. Really listened. When people spoke, he didn't wait for his turn. He absorbed every word, every pause, every emotion left and said. And when he looked at me, it felt like he could see the parts of me I kept hidden from everyone else. The tired parts. The lonely parts. The parts I pretended didn't exist. That terrified me. Because when someone sees you like that, they hold the power to destroy you. And silent love is the most dangerous kind of all. Every morning, I told myself, don't fall. Every evening, my heart ignored me. I noticed everything about him. Things no one else seemed to see. The way his smile faded the moment he thought no one was watching. The way he stayed quiet when he was hurting. The way he carried everyone else's weight while refusing to share his own. He always asked me if I was okay. Always. Even on days when I was clearly pretending. Yet he never asked that question about himself. And I wanted to. God, I wanted to reach out. To touch his arm. To ask what he was carrying. To tell him he didn't have to be strong all the time. But I never did. Because silence felt safer than rejection. Because loving him quietly felt less terrifying than hearing him say he didn't feel the same. Sometimes, our hands almost touched. Fingers brushing air. Palms stopping inches apart. Every time it happened, my breath caught painfully in my chest. Sometimes, our eyes held for just a second too long. Long enough to say everything. Short enough to deny it meant anything. In those moments, my heart burned so intensely that I had to look away. Love was there. Unspoken. Unconfessed. Alive. One evening, after everyone else had left, we were the only two left in the room. The lights were low. The building felt empty. The world outside felt distant and unreal. You're quiet today, Ethan said. So are you, I replied. Silence followed. But it wasn't empty. It was heavy, weighted with everything we were too afraid to say. Do you ever feel, he began? Then he stopped. I held my breath. Feel what? I asked softly. Like you're carrying something you can't share, he finished. Something inside me cracked. Yes, I whispered. He looked at me then. Not casually. Not politely. Deeply. Like he was standing at the edge of a truth that could change everything. For a moment, I thought, this is it. But he didn't step forward. And neither did I. At night, I went home and cried. Not because I was sad, but because loving him quietly was hurting more than losing him loudly ever would. Days passed. Then weeks. And then one day, everything changed. Ethan told me he was leaving. A new job. A new city. A fresh start. I smiled. I said, I'm happy for you. Inside, something collapsed. At night, silence burned worse than ever. On his last day, he handed me a small folded note. My hands shook as I opened it. I never learned how to say things out loud. It read, "But no thism loves don't fade because they were never spoken." Tears blurred my vision. "Why didn't you tell me?" I asked softly. He looked at me with eyes full of regret. "Because I was afraid you didn't feel the same." I laughed through tears. "I was afraid you did." That was the truth. We stood there, two people finally, honest. Too late. And yet, somehow, right on time. We didn't promise forever. We didn't run into each other's arms. But something powerful happened. Our silence finally spoke. Months passed after Ethan left. Life moved forward. Or at least it pretended to. I learned how to smile again, how to stay busy, how to convince the world I was fine. But my heart stayed behind. Every quiet night reminded me of the love I never spoke, of the words that never found air. And, one evening, my phone rang. Unknown number. I almost ignored it. "I don't know if you'll want to hear my voice," he said. "But I'm back." My breath stopped. We met the next day. He looked different. Stronger, tired, wiser, and still the same. The silence between us returned instantly, like it had been waiting. "I tried to forget," he said. "But silent love doesn't disappear, it waits." I felt the burn again. "I moved on," I lied. He nodded, accepting the lie with a pain he didn't hide. "I didn't come to ask for anything," he said. "I came to be honest." We walked together. No touching, no promises. He told me how distance taught him courage, how silence taught him regret, how loving me quietly had been the bravest and weakest thing he ever done. "I'm done being afraid," he said. "Even if it's too late." At night, the city lights flickered like memories. My heart raced knit with nostalgia, with truth. "I loved you," I said. In silence, because I was afraid of losing you. He stopped walking. "I loved you too," he replied. "Because I was afraid you didn't." Silence fell again. But this time, it healed. "I can't promise forever," I said. "But I can promise honesty." He smiled softly. "That's louder than love ever needs to be." We didn't rush. We didn't rewrite the past. We chose the present. Carefully, courageously. Because some loves burn quietly, not to be hidden, but to survive. Until the heart is ready to speak. And when it finally does, it changes everything. Even now, when I think of him, I know this. That silent love shaped me, more than any loud one ever could. And this time, we let it speak.